The girls were there, separate compound there, producing military uniforms. So I was 14 years old. But we thought that we were winning the war because all along newspaper and we were indoctrinated to we were winning the war. August 15, 1945, we were ordered to assemble in a big ground. There's a big PA system. Somebody was talking in quivering voice in the PA system, loudspeaker. We didn't know what was being said, but it turned out that it was a Japanese Emperor Hirohito's surrendering statement. We were shocked because we thought we were winning. We couldn't believe that we were losing the war. We were taken to the Osan Middle School, where hometown. At that time, ROTC, Japanese officer lieutenant, was our school lieutenant, who drilled us daily with knife offers, kendos, judo. He committed harakiri, suicide. But before he did that, he killed his wife, who was pregnant. So the school cremated him. I was the president of the class at the time. I was selected to pick up the bones of the dead soldiers, put in the boxes.
When I returned to Korea, I went to Sungmyeong Girls High School. That's a private high school. In Korea, not many public high schools. Most of them are private. My teenage year was really different from what American teenagers go through. All I did was go to school in the morning and go to church on Sunday and study at home, help my mother, that's all. You know, we were so poor. Only holidays we can have a chicken soup. And that's all I remember. But usually we could not have meat because meat was very expensive. So kimchi. Christmas, usually my mother knits something, gloves or socks or a sweater. So there was, just nearby my pillow, and she wrapped everything. She said, Santa Claus brought this for you. My favorite teacher he was my homeroom teacher, and he taught physics. My family was so poor and I was struggling, and he said, so how your family is going to live? So I said, I'm going to quit high school. I'm going to go to nursing school, and I want to become nurse's aide. And then I'm going to support my family. And he said, that's a wonderful idea, but I think you need to graduate from high school first and then go to college. And he said, don't worry about the tuition, because the tuition was very high. And I will pay your tuition, and I will introduce you this one family so you can teach their 3 children. And then you can make some money and give that money to your family. Just months after I graduated from high school, Korean War broke.
I was transferred to another high school, Sinuju High School, near my parents were living there. There I saw for the first time Russian soldiers were coming. See the Potsdam Conference where Stalin, Roosevelt, Chiang Kai-shek, and Churchill got together. They agreed to partition South Korea into North and South Korea. So Russian soldiers would occupy North Korea and United States, South Korea. When North and South Korea was divided, nobody consulted the Korean people themselves. It's the It's a big power they themselves arbitrarily decided.
That was a sad time. My father cried a lot. We didn't know about that division. And then one day my father came home and said, I have a bad news. Korea is not going to be one country. Superpowers divided us into two. And North Korea is going to be a communist country. So we cannot stay here. Let's go. That's why he said, leave everything behind and let's just walk. So we walked and went to South Korea. That was a hard time. We walked at night, quietly. We cannot make any sound. If we make sound that baby cries, then over the top of the hill, there were Russian soldiers with a gun. They just shoot. We had a good guide. He took us, across the river, across the mountain, and hiding during the daytime. And we slept during the daytime, and at night we crawled off. And at that time, just before we left, 1-year-old baby brother died. They didn't have any, immunization was available, so he had smallpox. So we buried him, then we left North Korea. That's why we lost him. And then a week later, we came to Kaesong. Kaesong was the South Korea at that time. And when we arrived at Kaesong, all the U.S. Military personnel were there. They were all chewing gum. Everybody was chewing gum. So I thought, wow, how come they all chew gum? Grown-ups chewing gum? And then they gave us a chocolate, throwing chocolate, And then DDT powder from head to toe, sprayed, all over. We went into Seoul. Then my father found our relatives and his friends from Shanghai. So we found one house that we were able to live together.
My father, because he was very trained as a civil engineer, he was made head of the provincial government of the Department of Civil Engineer right after the Second World War, until communist government established. He was about to be arrested to be as a traitor, so he escaped from north to south by himself first. Then later we joined Crossing Soviet Parallel. After we escaped from Seoul, which was captured by North Korean army, we were hiding in rural area for about a couple of months, during which time my mother was kidnapped. So then we escaped from Seoul to rural area. We walked about 1 week on foot. We encouraged ourselves. We kept our good spirit by singing a cappella for quartet. 4 of us, hymns and also the popular songs. Then we are hiding in the rural area. About another month or so, then we learned that General MacArthur launched the Incheon landing. At that time, I volunteered to draft for military service, and they drafted me into some kind of intelligence-related English translation officer. So several of us was taken to American U.S. airplane in the Kimpo airport. And they dropped me off. They dropped us off at the Hamhung airport, which is part of the North Korean airport.